Housing is so important. I know there are other parts of the reconciliation bill that's important, and they talk about health care and children and climate and all of that. But I want you to know that housing is the basis for everything. If you don't have a safe and decent place to live, you don't even know how to apply for health care. If you don't have a safe and decent place to live, how are the children going to get to school without having a place to shower and have their clothes and all of that? And so, we've worked very hard on this housing bill, and we have a promise from the President of the United States that he's all about equity and correcting some of the wrongs of the past. Well, this is the time to do it. And you couldn't do it in a better way than with housing. Housing is everything.
Okay. Hi, Jer. How are you?
Chiquita, how are you? Good to
I
see you.
am likewise. I am doing good. It's beginning to be fall, and fall and winter, and I'm excited about it. So, I just have a few questions for you. I'm really curious. So, you've been working in a housing policy at both like local and federal levels. Can you give us a little background into like what the current housing situation looks like to you?
Well, thank you, Chiquita. So right now at Network, part of my portfolio is housing. So I have been working on the reconciliation bill that is going to put some significant investments in public housing and vouchers for throughout the country. It'll be targeted towards certain income levels. But if we can get this significant amount of money in the final package, it could have some serious impact on average Americans. It could put a big dent in homelessness. These issues, whether it's on the local level where I serve as a council member, or the bringing in the federal government, homelessness is a policy choice, in my opinion. We do have the resources, whether they're human capital or treasure. We can make a difference. It's a question of, you know, do we decide that that is something we want to do? On the local level, affordable housing, whether it's rural America, you're in Nebraska, or the city of Tacoma Park, affordable housing is a real issue, right? The biggest problem is, individuals' income have not kept up with the cost of housing, whether it's ownership, rental, it doesn't matter. That cost is just gone through the roof. So, when you have just a private market, the only way you can make a difference is the federal government has to step in, because the state and local governments don't have the resources to make a difference. I mean, you're talking about like band-aids on a gushing wound. I wouldn't even call these policies racial equity. This is more just to take people out from outside and put them in, some decent housing. That's not racial equity. That's just, making sure people do not have to live in conditions that are unfathomable to human beings. Issues are resolved.
Agreed. Agreed. And you brought up a really interesting point where you talked about just like the conditions that these the current housing, affordable housings are. And you see, like we see with like, predominantly Black areas, such as Flint, the current situation that's going on at Howard University. And also me growing up and realizing majority of the houses that my mother invested when we were younger due to her being eligible for Section 8 was infested with roaches and rats. So why do you think that, Congress, because you said that federal intervention is needed. So why do you think that they have been like prolonging the situation as long as they have?
I mean, it's anti-blackness, I mean, folks that, don't care, don't want to invest, don't want to think about trying to make the quality of life for Black and brown people better. I mean, I think there are a lot of people that just think that whatever people have is good enough, right? Whatever that is, right? My position has always been that it makes no sense that people have to live in, questionable conditions, right? You should be able to live in, because of your economic status should not define who you are in this country, period, right? And because of anti-blackness, racism, you take that and, living in a capitalist society, and for a huge, huge part of the Black population that needs these services, not because they've done anything, but because, jobs in their communities may now be overseas, may have moved to other parts of the country. Um, they don't have the resources, the money to move to those places. Those companies that are left did not offer them relocation packages. All those things add up to where we are in public housing in this country. I mean, it's just, public housing, high speed internet, quality public housing, high speed internet should be a right for all Americans, you know. Uh,
I love that. And just talking about, underrepresented communities and disfranchised communities when it comes to, I know when I have conversations with my family members or my friends that's not necessarily really big into policy work like I am being a policy geek, they often think that, changes can be bad, what regard but like, so when I talk to them about affordable housing, they're like, well, I'm going to lose my benefits. I'm going to lose my current housing situation if this bill changes, not knowing that it gives them the opportunity to, expand and really grow. So when when people have those conversations with individuals that don't necessarily understand, understand that this bill or this legislation or this policy is really impacting them in a positive way versus them thinking that their taxes is going to go up and all of that, what type of conversation or rebuttal would you have for those individuals that think that way?
well, I think that's, how these changes will benefit them, that they will not see negative um, outcomes because of these changes in HUD or vouchers. It is not our goal, or I think members in the House and Senate, to hurt anyone, to take anything away from anyone. I mean, the pandemic has shown us that the social service contract, the social contract we have with Americans is broken. Um, we need a lot more tools in the toolbox, so to speak, to help people when they don't have opportunities. There are a lot of people that are working every day that are still unhoused, right? There are a lot of people that have jobs at CVS or Walmart that just are not being paid a livable wage. So what do? We have to step in and supplement them to make sure that they live in quality housing. It's not just for those individuals; it's also for their children. You know, research has shown that if children live in poverty, there's a very good chance that when they grow up, that they will live in poverty. So we have to figure out how to break these cycles, and we know we can do it. You know, it takes investment in actual dollars uh, to to this community, and try to figure out a way to move people up economically, socially, uh, so that they are not trapped uh, in this poverty cycle.
I love that. I love that. And what you just touched on right now is just similar to what I heard Chairman of the Financial Services Committee, Representative Maxine Water, a queen, like talk about like housing as a foundational investment. It's not just something that we can just talk about, talk about it on a whim and just not think that it doesn't have like impacts on people's everyday lives, especially when we see in DC homeless people sleeping in front of the White House, homeless people sleeping in front of the Union Station. So, like, do you think the kind of return that the U.S. citizens can expect on this investment? I would say within like a 1 to 3 years type of thing.
Well, let me say that you know the investment that we will put into housing will the return will be something that very few of us will be able to imagine, right? This is actually going to provide jobs for people, right? But if we are really talking about racial equity, we need to make sure that those jobs go to the Black and brown people that live in those communities, right? I mean, if apartments need to be painted, we need to hire the people that live in those apartments, pay them a livable wage to paint some
Exactly.
apartments, right?
Yep. Exactly.
But we also need to talk about the trades,
Mm.
right? Because, a lot of these apartments, these buildings need improved plumbing, electrical. This is an incredible opportunity to take people that live in these communities and get them into an apprentice program so that they can learn working with companies that are given the contract. You're going to hire a plumbing company. Have this, and I hate to use this word, a teachable moment, right?
Yep.
That you can get young men and women and explain to them the basics of plumbing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then move them through a apprenticeship program that they can eventually get their union card, right?
Very well said. I just wanted to thank you for just answering those questions and having this transparent dialogue with me in regards to the housing, like the housing bill and reconciliation bill. And I would love to just give you a few moments to give any closing remarks that you have and things that you just want to update everyone on.
Thank you, Chiquita. I really appreciate you taking the time with me. I know you're busy. I know you got a lot of stuff going on, but I do appreciate you having this chat with me. You know, this is a unique opportunity in this country, right? Um, you know, these policy proposals from the president, from the Progressive Caucus in the House, they can have generational impact. They can really, really improve the quality of life for Americans. Now, I mean, people have heard this probably on other issues, and it didn't turn out the way some politicians and representatives of previous administrations may have said it would. But I really believe that I look at this as a down payment. This isn't the end. We're not finished here, right? We are just getting started, right? So I implore everybody to get involved. Call people, send tweets, post on Facebook, Instagram, get those TikTok videos out there. I want to see a TikTok video about vouchers in housing. Why don't we have universal vouchers? Where's that TikTok video? This is up to you. I mean, the business community, they're pushing back. They don't want these changes, right? So if you want to see a better quality of life, and it may not just be for you, it might be for your neighbor, it might be your cousin, your auntie. If you want to actually see that happen, you got to take the first step, right? You may have never called your congressman in your entire life. This is the time to do it. You may have never called your United States senator. This is it.
Oh,
this is go time. This is it. You want to see this country be better? We all got to do better.
Y'all heard that, okay? We got to do better. This is the time. This is the time. We have an important bill that's being talked about, and it impacts our progression in our communities. It impacts whether or not we can get out of those roach infested environments and be able to live in safer communities, safer housing choices, so our family won't be afraid to walk around in any time of the day or night. So it's really, the time is now. And we're really, like Jarrett said, we're encouraging everyone, contact your councilman, contact your congressman, congresswoman, senator, representative, state as well. We're not holding no one out in this situation. You voted for them because you wanted them to reflect your voice. This is the time to hold them accountable, to utilize your voice in the podiums and the chambers that they represent. So we just wanted to, make sure you guys knew that, and thank you.
Thank you, Chiquita.